Greetings, Internet, and welcome to Aaron Plays, and I hope you're doing fantastically well. In this episode, I'll be continuing my exploration of PanzerBlitz. This will be the fifth situation I've played, and they're called situations, not scenarios. This will be situation 5, and for the first time, I'll be playing the Russians, or Soviets, whichever way you want to look at it. The mention of the Russians on here. This will be an opposed play against Harri, who'll be playing the Germans for the first time, and this is the first scenario that he has not actually played to completion in the past. And as I said, this is only the fifth scenario I've ever played. So if you could hit the like and subscribe, and any comments are much appreciated as we go down to the map. So let's go through what the actual situation 5 is. So it says German reconnaissance in force actually against Lutez bridgehead on the Dnieper, 10th, 43, so 10th of October. The Russians had thrown a bridgehead across the Dnieper River, which the Germans had to penetrate before attacking it. Okay. So then it tells me to set up the Russian forces initially. So it's the 842nd Rifle Regiment, reinforced, of the 294th Rifle Division. And it says set up a number 1 board first. So this being number 1 board there. Can I bring up the situation card so you can see what we're looking at? Okay. There you go. So I had 8 infantry, quite powerful defensive infantry, a couple of mortars, an SMG unit, some even more powerful mortars, artillery, 2 lovely anti-tank guns, a couple of self-propelled guns, a couple of anti-tank guns as well, some mines, some roadblocks, some trucks, and other vehicles. And it says to win, they prevent the Germans from accomplishing their victory conditions. Straightforward enough. Then it says for the Germans, battle groups of the 7th Panzer Division. I love the way they break these down. Set up on the 3rd board, on number 3 board, and move first. So they've got some half tracks, armored cars, some panzers, some Stugs, some infantry, a little mortar, 2 Vesps. These are really powerful units, an engineer unit, command points. Yes, we've got some onboard indirect artillery fire, which is the first time we're using this. And they've got 8 half tracks, and they've got 12 turns to achieve the following. It says must get units off the east edge of the board. All must leave board at once. So stay off for 3 complete turns, re-enter on hexes they left on, and get off the west edge of number 3 board by turn 12. Okay. Marginal is 7 units, tactical 14, decisive 20. Yeah. Let's actually have a look what that entails. So he sets up on board 3, which is this board here. Okay. Then needs to break through the Soviet line, then get off must get all off the east edge of the board. All must leave board at once. So he needs to get off this edge of the board, stay off for 3 complete turns of the 12, and then get back all the way to this side of the board. So when we were both looking at this, we're thinking, blimey, that is a tall order. You know, I think even if there was no Soviet units on the board, that would be pretty difficult. But that's what they've given us to do, or given the Germans to do. So I set up my defensive line. trying to cover as many hexes as possible, and preventing. So, for example, these swamp hexes, he can't move vehicles through. Hence why there's a sort of gap there. I mean, the road's here, and this is where he's decided, you can see, to set up. I wouldn't know that while I was setting up my units. These blocks, you have to be adjacent to them to start with, then you move on to them, and then the following turn you move off. So they really slow you down. Just double check that and make sure I didn't actually make that as a mistake. So blocks may be placed anywhere on the board. A unit may only enter a hex with a block in it if it begins its turn directly adjacent to the block. Upon entering the block hex, you must stop and go no further that turn, and in their next turn they may move off the block at the normal movement rate. So effectively, it'll take you, the way I looked at these, turn 1 to get to them. Sorry, turn 1 to get adjacent to them, turn 2 to get onto them, turn 3 you can start moving off. So there's 3 turns already on the blocks. Mines, 2-to-1 attack, and mines are not friendly to anybody, so if I move a unit through a mine, it will also attack me. And I think, do you have to stop when you get into a minefield? I think you do as well. Mines. The player of the minefield plate, yet once positioned, mines may not be moved. As soon as the unit moves onto the minefield, it must stop. The opposing player during the combat portion of the turn rolls the dice. And they don't count on his second limit. So, I've got some units with wagons underneath them to give them a little bit of mobility as and when required. But I was looking at this, it's going to be fairly static. He's placed his vests over here. Okay, if you look at the range on them, so remember the values are, attack value is the 40, the range 32, defense 5, and move 8. Okay, if you remember my acronym, all Randy dogs mate. That's the way I sort of remember what the order of those things is. To use indirect fire effectively, he's got to be at least 16 hexes because the range is 32. So it's got to be over half range for them to be used as indirect fire units. And the way the indirect fire unit works is from a command, as long as the command point has got a line of sight to the target, and there's one of his units adjacent to the target, the actual guns don't have to have line of sight as long as the command point does. Anyway, that's enough of the preamble. Let's see how the game progresses. So there's 12 turns. Let's just bring the turn track up. I'll put that here, or should I put that? I'll tell you what, I'll bring that up as necessary. So this is me just stepping through the log of the game that we actually played, giving a narration of what actually happened as best I can remember. This occurred, as I recorded, about a couple of nights ago. So as we go, I was describing that unit in the gully is out of line of sight unless you're sitting on the hill. So he starts moving some units up. Remember, this is turn 1. He didn't do any initial shooting. So moving units up. That ended his movement. Russian turn 1. So no attacks. Line obviously holding because nothing's actually happened on it as yet. And this is where I realized my deployment might not be perfect. I've got these big guns at the back, 20 hex range, sitting on a hill. However, because of this hill, which is closer to his unit here, I can't see him. And I was like, oh. However, I could have seen this guy, but I made the mistake that I didn't even target him. So I'm working out lines of sight, and we're talking about that hill as I just mentioned. So I was like, oh. So you can see checking our sights. Now, I've targeted that one. Okay. And I don't actually think now, looking at in retrospect, I could have seen it. From there to there. No. Because sorry, Harry. Yeah, because that hex there is a woods, therefore creates a blind hex behind it. But I could have seen this unit. So swings and roundabouts. Because that one there is on the slope, and the actual slope hex sides of the same hill don't give it cover. So I can't see through this hill from these units onto here because this hill is closer. But this hill itself doesn't protect units on the slopes of its own hill. So I could have targeted it, hit this, and in retrospect, that would have been a lot better target. But I targeted there, which actually, in actual fact, I couldn't have done. So as I say, sorry, Harry, but in actual fact, you got away with it because the two armored cars, as me and he know, pretty nifty. Anyway, I destroyed the half track in that hex there. It was an auto kill. What did I know? I rolled a 2. There we go. It wasn't. I think it was actually 3-1 or something. Anywho, I decided, well, let's move the. We can put some. Now know where he's attacking. I am quite aware of his mobility, so I decided I can't move everything, but I can move a few units around. I'm picking up some guns because that gun over there is doing nothing. I thought I need to bring that into the vassal. Yeah, roadblocks caused by units sitting on the road. Another wagon moving. We're talking about line of sight. So you can see in a swamp. It's not like a woods or a town hex. You can see through swamp. So, but you can't see into gully. That's why I've fallen back here into the gully and not being adjacent, because if I remained adjacent, he could use the units to spot and actually bring these nasty into the fray. German turn 2. So I didn't do any attacks apart from that incorrect one there. I wish I targeted those. But anyway, German turn 2, as said in the dialogue. So he'd work out that wagon, and then I realised, oh yeah, he's in line of sight, isn't he? But at least it used up one of his panzers to shoot. And here, I moved an infantry unit, and I was thinking, after I moved it, I thought, why did I do that? Because now he can spot with that unit. And as that unit can spot, that means he can bring this guy can now. So effectively, this guy is radioing this guy, who then radios those two mean things over here, as you'll see. So we're marking the attacks, which is part of the system. You must mark all attacks. So preempting all attacks might be a better way of putting it. I'm sorry, just drinking a bit of coffee. Yeah, keeping the throat palatable. And off we go. So using the command point and the spotter. So that was the wagon gone. I thought, yeah, can't use them as roadblocks in swamp. And that unit was just an auto kill. Actually, no, he rolled it. If he rolled the 6s like I do, then that wouldn't have gone. That was it. Yeah, it was 4-1 with a +1. On a 4-1 result, 1-6 is a kill, but a 7 is a complete miss. And that's how I normally roll, but not for good old Harri. So now, because I've got that wagon's gone, I thought, oh, here they come. And look at these half tracks. Okay, he just went back a little bit there. I'm not quite sure why, but that's what he did. And he even made a comment. I made a mistake there afterwards. As you'll see as the game progresses. So Russian turn 2. Me now working out what I can actually see again. There's been a tendency also in these games that not many units actually fire. Now, could I see that this time? Yeah, the answer is yes. There's no other woods in the way apart from over here, but these woods only give a line of sight block into the hex directly behind them. So that is a legitimate attack. All right, and there we go. Another one of my famous sixes. Okay, which is a miss. I think that was the only shot, and then you've got me moving around the rear, trying to bring some of these wagons and trucks to, I can see whether he's trying to break through, so I need to actually move some units there. I didn't keep an amazing reserve. I've actually kept no reserve because I was trying to defend the whole of the front line. I didn't have enough units to actually create a reserve, but that's what I'm sort of doing now, stripping some of the other areas of the front to bring units up. What actually happened here is the gun mounted into the truck, which takes the entire turn, whereas unlimbering doesn't take anything. Bizarre things. And you can see I'm moving up my SU. I think SU 76s. Not great units, but they're the only really tank forces I've got on the board. So I fell back here because I didn't really want to get fired at. Anything to slow them down. Has anyone seen my obvious mistake yet? If you have, I hope you actually put it in the comments. Yeah, you did this on turn 2, or you hadn't done this in the setup. And now it's German turn 3. So, okay. Remember, he's got 12 turns to get all the way off here, and then all the way back over here with 3 turns off the board. Harri is at this point thinking, this is, yes, very, very tricky. I don't know, when they design these scenarios, if they assume that the Soviets are going to be an absolute dumbass and not cover as much as possible. Though you will see in a moment that I did have a dumbass, and I say, have you seen it yet? Positioning. There it is. Who didn't actually put something down the side of the board there? And Harri was wondering why he didn't see that on turn 2. Luckily, he only saw it on turn 3. I hadn't seen it at all. Of course, there's board edge creep, famous for most of these tactical games, ASL included. At the edge of the board, you can creep down it, and each one of those is only one movement point. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I was surprised he only went that far. But now I'm like, oh man, all I needed was to place one of these over here, because I had done it over here, but I completely and utterly missed that one there. And I'm like, oh man, I was gutted. I thought that was foolish. I mean, obviously by placing one of these over here, that would have asset stripped somewhere else, but I could have adjusted the defense somewhere else, or a minefield. That might even be better, but I didn't. So I was like, oh dear. And as you can see, he's bringing up maximum force. Little SMG unit over there thinking, oh, what's going on? And now look at these guys. These are the armored cars. Wow, they move so fast. Imagine if I'd taken them out earlier when I had the opportunity. But you play these games, you learn. We're having a chat about the gullies. He's moving forward there. Russian turn 3. And I'm sort of trying to work out, okay, how can I mean, these units are powerful, but against something like these, we just get blown away. So I was trying to work out what, because I mean, I can't sit this unit on the road. Remember, there's no zones of control. So, because if I sit on the road, they're just an obvious target. It just needs some, doesn't even need to move a unit next to them. You can spot them straight away. Whereas if that had been one of these had been a wood hex, then you'd have to bring a unit adjacent. And this is where the game gets its Panzerbush critique, which I'm still not fully, in fact, I'm not fully on board with. I've got no problem with the spotting rules, and it even brings up some strange anomalies in this game, but I still think, yeah, the overall effect feels right. We're talking about what units can see what at this point. You can't see into the gully unless he's sitting on a hill. So I went through with him, and he was like, oh yeah, right. And then it's over to me moving. Notice I didn't fire. Trying to work out what can do what. So, and remember, I'm trying to make a sort of reserve second line defense to stop the breakthrough. And I was like, oh dear, he's already through. But what can we do? So it's creeping up. I did toy with the idea of this guy moving 1 hex per turn. He's only got a movement of 1. Coming up, and I thought, well, as soon as I even get close, I mean, moving in the open. I mean, I can move along this gully, but it's going to take me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 turns to get there. And I thought, no, that's a waste of time. Infantry is so slow unless it's obviously in a vehicle, which again, 250 meters per hex. It's something I constantly forget that each of these hexes is quite a distance. So, strolling around over here, he can be able to maybe even get one of his command points in the open. Yeah, ain't gonna happen. And even if I get on a road, ain't gonna happen. So I toyed with it and crashed and burned that idea very quickly. So what turn are we on here? I think I might have. So turn 3. Oh yeah, I did a close assault. That guy, close assaulted that guy, but which is 8 versus 8, 1-to-1, but with -2, but with a +1 for the wood, so net -1. I rolled a 3. That dispersed his panzer, which is good because it means he can't do anything next turn. And then we move on to German turn 4. So yep, there we go. Yeah, I put it into the text just to remind me, but also it is on the turn record track. German turn 4. Okay. And there they go. Look at them. Wow, wow, wow. They move so quickly. Now, again, this is there should be opportunity fire. And in Panzer Leader, they do bring in opportunity fire. How that would change the balance of scenarios for PanzerBlitz? No idea. I mean, so far, I wouldn't say any of the scenarios we've played have been particularly balanced anyway. But they've been fun to play. That's the key point. Maybe they're just operational problems to see if you can solve them. No idea. Remember, this was designed back in the early 70s, so we're talking 70, 71. How much playtesting was done then? No idea. So they are what they are, and you just play along accordingly. And as I say, it's creating an interesting narrative. He's now got his reconnaissance armored cars up through the line. But remember, he's got to exit all his things off in the same turn. So now, and again, this is where he's got panzers here that these guns can't see because I haven't got anyone adjacent to them to do the spotting. So I've got all these powerful guns, but he just hides in the woods. Again, this is where, again, the Panzerbush thing, they just go. And next turn he could go there, and I can't do anything about it. But remember the ranges. You know, from there to there is how far? You know, in hexes. That's 12 hexes. That's 4. Yeah, that's 4 kilometers. That's quite a distance. So I've got no problem with that. And units would move from cover to cover. So even if he moves into there and stayed there, then I'd be able to target him. But moving from there to there is all right. That's 750 meters. By the time we've got round to be able, oh look, there's some Germans over there. They'd be here anyway. Yeah, to get these to line up, get ready to fire, and all the rest of it would take time. So moving from cover to cover makes sense, and also not just being able to instantly react to it makes it. This is not squad leader terms, which is a lot smaller, where it's individual anti-tank guns or individual mortars and such forth. That is a company of mortars. So to actually get that lined up would take quite a bit of time. So yeah, if the Germans did sit sort of in the open, then that would make sense that you could target it. But moving from cover to cover also makes sense. I haven't read as yet the Panzer Leader opportunity file rules, and I noticed though when I did have a quick skim through Panzer Leader that they were an optional rule. They weren't a rule. So I don't know. We'll see when we get there. I mean, the plan at the moment is for me and Harri to go through the 12 situations that came in the original box for PanzerBlitz, and where we go from there, who knows? I'm having fun, and he's having fun, as we are at the moment. So as you can see, he continues the unfair and unjust manoeuvring down the flank of the board there. He was working out what to do about my little dudes there. Here comes some more. Dropping off for infantry, and a command point, and then a free half track. And he decides to move his guns anyway, just to bring them up a little bit closer. And I think that's about it. Russian turn 4. Okay, I'm working out what can see me, and what I can see. And no fire at all. I couldn't see bugger all. However, I am now planning to make him have to fight to get through this point, or at least slow him down as much as I can. Anti-tank gun. And remember what I said, you can drop off things. It takes a whole turn to limber up or get onto the wagons or carts or trucks or whatever, but you can drop things off straight away. So my movement there, okay, I started there, so that is 2 for truck, 4. Then on the road, 5, 6, 7, 7.5, 8. Drop it off. Okay, doesn't cost any movement points. 9, 10, and as you will see now, 11, 12. So he's at least got to fire on that with something to get through that hex. And remember, vehicles can't cross these borderlines in that hex there. So in my mind, I've got a unit there he's got to get through. He's got a unit there he's either got to get through or fire at. And yes, it's an easy target, but if you're firing, you ain't moving. If you ain't moving, you ain't getting off the board, is my thought. There's no loss limit to this scenario, so it's just a delay, slow them down. So yeah, that was my thinking, my plan of action. Another truck coming up, dropping off another unit. There we go. And again, just blocking that gully. Because if you're going through there, well, he can't even target that unit because he can't see it unless you're on a hill or he's adjacent. So if he wants to move this way around, each one of these hexes costs 3 movement points for a vehicle, slowing him down. I'm just bringing up the SUs. I don't want them to be knocked out. Another close assault on the Panzer. 4 becomes a 3. That's dispersed. That's good enough. Another assault on the infantry on the half track. Roll a 5. No effect. Infantry. Roll another 6. Yay! And that's now on German turn 5. So I'm like, remember, he's got to do this all in 12 turns. That's one of his panzers. And yeah, auto kill. And auto kill on the truck. But that's one of his units fired. So now all the 5 units mark. He's getting the units. And he's not, he's got to take them off in 1 turn. And as he's moving into the woods, I can't see him. Oh, I brought my infantry with me. So you can see a little bit of rear movement. That's a close assault on the truck on the wagon, the cart, gone. Right. Okay, so we're just about to go now into my turn 5. Okay, we're doing target. Let's have a look what he's actually got here. Right, so these are going to be the exiting forces. So he's got 2 armored cars, a half track with an engineer, so that's 3, 4, a half track 5, 2 tanks 6, 7. So he's got that can exit the board 7, which is the exact minimum he needs for a marginal victory. So if I just take out one of those, he can't win. But I can't fire on them. I can't see them because I'm not adjacent with a unit that can spot. Okay. So my turn 5, I'm just firing at units I can target. I worked out here that I was 1 hex away from being able to fire at these guys, though I wasn't sure if I could target them anyway because we're crossing slope hexes that are close to him anyway, so prevented by the hills and so on. Yeah, we had another talk about that. This little hill here meant that he could come all the way through here, quite, not threatened by these guys. But I could target 1 unit. I rolled a 1. Yay! I killed the unit. Whoop, whoop. It's not really relevant because these are the ones he's going to get off. But, if I could maybe be able to block the road. Yeah. It's part of the wishful thinking there. But now, why on earth did I do that? I put him there so that he could shoot him. Go on, it's easy. If you shoot him, you're not going off board. That was my pure tactical thinking. Genius move, I thought. Maybe not, but go in there. If he targets you, he ain't getting off the board. If he don't target you, you're in a good position, ready for when he comes back on the board. So yeah, I'm moving things up. That SMG unit's still been a pain in the bum for him. German turn 6. So yeah, I was saying, come on and shoot me. Now, this is where we had a little chat about the victory conditions. I thought I was being a little generous. It says, must get units off the east edge of the board. All must leave board at once. So, all right. Stay off for 3 complete turns. Re-enter on hexes they left on and get off the west edge of the board by turn 12. Okay. So his original plan, as he was moving, was to move everything off this hex into here. And then I raised the question, well, what if I just move him and sit on that hex? We can't re-enter that board then, can he? It was like, no, well, yeah. So I said, probably the best thing you do is if you exit via 3 or 4 hexes, and then you can return on any one of them, or all of them, because that's just so gamey. Yeah, if he exits off one hex, I just go and sit in that hex and he can't enter. So that was a little bit of a, for me, I felt a bit cheesy way of winning. So I did go through it with him because you see he's exiting all via that one hex side. I thought, yeah, all I've got to do is stand there, get back, So we then went back over his move, as you can see here. He just backtracked and then went back off board, as you can see, over different hex sides. Now, technically, if I had 4 units, I could block that, but I thought it just just silly. That's the first time I would say there's been a silly victory condition that they've got to come back exactly on the same hexes. Why it wouldn't say within 3 hexes, within 5 hexes, or 8 hexes? Why couldn't they come anywhere back on that board edge? That would make it a lot more interesting, because then I'd still have to defend everything. At the moment, this road here is wide open, because that road there is the main Russian weakness, because it goes all the way through to this side. Hence why a lot of my initial defense was slowing down any movement that he could make along that road, because that was, what I viewed as the worst he could do. Now, so this is where we're also describing. So he thought he was going to be coming back on turn 9. And I said, no. The victory conditions stay off for 3 complete turns. So if he exited on turn 6, a complete turn would be, it's not a complete turn. Complete turn would be 7, 8, 9. That's the 3 turns he's completely off. Then he can come back on turn 10. That gives him only turn 10, 11, and 12 to travel from here to here with all 7 of those units. He ain't going to do it. He hasn't got enough time. We need to exit within. And this is where we had a discussion about, well, how on earth are the Germans supposed to do it? And I think the only way the Germans can do it is if the Russians didn't set up a decent defense. If they, and then you've got the Germans have got to play ultra efficiently. And that seems to be the design issue or the way these games have seemed to have gone. The Germans have got to be ultra efficient and lucky, and the Russians can be a bit sloppy, maybe not as diligent. I don't know. I set up, and Harri admitted, a reasonable defense, though. Here, I missed that. But as you can see, I was really worried about if he's had the half movement rates of all this roads. But I have enough forces to block most of that. So I'm going to skip through these turns quite quickly because we were working out here how far he can actually get, because those panzers only move 8. To get over there, we were discussing, that's why I thought, well, if they had left, how would you design this scenario differently? Well, we'll go through it when we get there. But we had a discussion about, can I see that half track? The answer is yes, because it's on the same slope, and that's when I realized, boom. Okay. So I decided not to block him coming back on because it just felt cheesy. I had enough time to, with units with trucks and such forth, I could have blocked every one of those hexes, but and maybe back in the day, loose kind of instructions like that were acceptable. But we're only to Russian turn 7. I'm just scrolling through this because not really anything significant happened whilst he was off board. I just was preparing a defense line of some kind. I managed to close assault here. He realized he should have maybe placed them there. He couldn't overrun my guys because if he came from here to here, both hexes have got to be clear. That's not clear. From here to here, that's not clear. So he couldn't overrun this guy. He still has, a powerful tank unit here, but he can't overrun because it's got to be from a clear hex to a clear hex. So no overrun potential, as we were discussing here. I could have moved in there, but I didn't. And German turn 8. So remembering these guys can't do anything other than Russian turn 8. The turns are going quite quickly now because not much is happening other than me trying to block anything occurring. German turn 9. A few little attacks going on in and around this area. Nothing too significant. Russian turn 9. Okay. Now, as I put there, German turn 10, the return. There's no way he can actually win the scenario now. We're just now seeing how far he can get. We could have stopped. We decided, well, carry on. It's a learning thing anyway, isn't it? It's, we're learning the systems. So we decided to carry on. Turn 10. He had some shots against that stubborn little Soviet unit. And he's still there. Okay, so he's now coming back on the board. As you can see, he's not rushing because he knows he can't get through. It's now, as I say, a exercise in just playing the game. Russian turn 10. Okay. I'm just moving units to slow him down. I managed to again disperse these guys, his CP unit. That means by dispersing his CP unit here, I am preventing these big buggers shooting at him. German turn 11. Okay, he's just doing small attacks along here, and he finally gets a 1, which I'm now dispersed. That means I can't attack these guys because I can't attack if I'm dispersed. And the panzers come. And look at these guys, the recon units. How far they can get. And at which point you're saying, why didn't the Germans have just recon units? Why would you send panzers on a recon mission as the scenario is depicted as a recon mission? But there we go. That could be the counter mix. Russian turn 11. Okay, so I managed to take out a Panzer here. Was that a half track? It didn't matter. It was one of the 7. Closing in. Last turn for the Germans. And I say we were just playing now for um, playing the game. So even his recon unit, the fastest units he had, couldn't get off the board. So yeah, Russia turn 12. I thought, why not? Finally, my big guns get to actually do something. Took out his CP unit. And that's pretty much it. We were then talking about the actual scenario. End of log file. Okay. I don't want to start a new one. So the scenario itself, victory condition wise, I think that's nigh on impossible. Even without the Soviets on the board. So if he could start with, let's just have a look, his best unit and half tracks starting here. So if none of these Soviets are on the board at all, so let's just see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's as far I can get on turn 1. Turn 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they can get off on turn 2. So, and that's moving at 10. Okay. Turn 3, 4, 5. Turn 6, they come back on. So, and we know it's another 2. So turn 6, they come back on. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so that's 8 turns with not a single opposition and everything moving by road. That only gives a four turn leeway for fighting Russians and not being moved by road. So how on earth are they supposed to do it? Don't think they can. And that's been a litany of these first 5 scenarios, that the Germans' victory conditions seem nigh on impossible. So yeah, as I just showed, it's taken 8 turns for maybe not the fastest, but the half track with it carrying a load, moving with no opposition on at all, 8 turns to get on, off, and back, leaving a 4-turn leeway. Anyway, let's go back up to the top and give my final thoughts. So don't get me wrong, I'm thoroughly enjoying the games. I'm thoroughly enjoying the rapport that me and Harri are having while we're playing. And I definitely want to carry on. And we've already diced for size for situation 6, where he will be playing the Russians again. And I think the Germans are on the attack again. Let's have a look. Scenario 6. Situation 6. Yeah. Russian set up first, German moves first. So I'm playing the Germans. Haven't really looked at it. I'm waiting until I get the actual setup from Harri with regard to that. But playtesting wise, remember these are the revised scenarios. Surely, I mean, what do the Germans need to help them in that scenario? Slight restriction on the Soviets where they can set up, maybe less Soviet units, maybe a bit more time, an extra 3 turns, maybe the returning anywhere along that edge rather than the hexes they exited. Any one of those, or even 2 of those, would have helped. But as I said, even with no Soviet units on the board and moving everything by that one road, which is the only road that goes all the way through, it still takes 8 turns. So, yeah, I think the situation is interesting. I just think the premise and the way they developed it made it a hiding to nothing. Maybe more recon units, half tracks, or especially those armored cars at 16 movement. They would definitely move around the board. But I had fun playing it, and at the end of the day, that's the main thing. And Harri had fun playing it. So we carried on the game, even though there was no obvious way he could win, because it was just interesting to see the situations that developed and so on. Anyway, moving on to situation 6, we're hopefully going to be playing that next week, and I will be bringing that to the channel as well, as long as you guys are interested. So the only way I can know if you're interested is, that or tickle the like button, whichever word terminology you want to do. If you're watching this and you've enjoyed what I do, just hit the like, do the like, whatever the like. Any comments much appreciated. Did me and Harri actually miss something completely blatantly obvious? If you've played this scenario situation before yourself, let us know, because this is all new stuff for me, and now we're going into stuff that Harri hasn't done before, so it's new stuff for him too. But until next time, play games, have fun. Get this, it's aged, yes, but it plays fast and it's a laugh while you're playing it. So I can't recommend it enough. Until next time, bye internet.